Our focus today, which we're kind of focusing as a company, is digital transformation. That's one of the area which we're doing very well. Is the area called dynamic case management. That's number 2. And 3, customer service automation. We're working very closely with Genesys. Our products have been highly recognized by Gartner and Forrester. Again, I will show this in the next slide. But Gartner, we've been positioned as a visionary in our space, and Forrester, a strong performer. We have close to 200 customers using our technology around the world, and again, I'll address it in future slides. Okay, so this is the Gartner and Forrester slide, just show how we rate with some of the competition, and I will talk the value about our product. Okay, so again, in the last couple of years, we've been doing a lot of installations, specifically in digital transformation space, and just want to maybe kind of share a couple of customers' experience that we've done. Good example, Julius Baer. This is a fairly large Switzerland bank, and we're doing probably 3-4 projects with them right now. We started with a compliance component. We're doing anti-money laundering. We're doing customer service. We're doing complaints case management. Another good example would be New York Department of Financial Services. They really wanted to streamline the whole customer experience, how the customers actually communicating with the department. So they, when we came to the account, they had about 20 different manual processes. They had a lot of legacy systems. So we've been able to use Ascentex technology to totally streamline all of those business processes. Again, a lot of customers around the world, in New Zealand, in Australia, in China, is using our technology to basically achieve digital transformation projects. So why digital transformation? I mean, we definitely begin to see big changes in consumer. We see a lot of devices around the consumer. Enormous growth in data. 50 billion connected devices. So this is kind of drives the initiative for digital transformation. The company really need to start creating those digital processes. So the company who actually do perform digital transformation, they get enormous benefits. One, they generate more revenue. That's number 1. Number 2, they're a lot more profitable, and they also conduct much higher market value. So really, there's a big trend to perform those projects right now. So in order we begin to see this digital transformation projects really need to what they call the new type of applications. Okay, these applications need to focus on 4 areas. One of them is customer experience. This is what actually Janelle was talking about. Number 2 is process efficiency, okay, which is important in this digital transformation process. Then the speed and flexibility, ability to configure and build these processes very quickly. And the last one is continuous improvement, because what we begin to see in digital transformation, that they might start with some kind of process, but they constantly want to be able to improve those processes. Okay? So what we call those applications, digital business application. That's kind of the name that we provided to those digital apps, right? So what Ascentex have done in the last 8 years, really put together very powerful platform. We call it digital business platform, specifically designed to automate end-to-end digital process. Okay? So the core of our technology is the component called dynamic case management. Actually, we'll do a little demo, and I will show how this works, right? This is actually our business process engine. This is an engine that really allows us to map any type of process. This could be processing loan. This could be processing complaints. Or this could be some kind of compliance. Really the customer-facing processes. So this is the core of our technology, and this is actually the technology that's been rated very highly by Gartner and Forrester. Then what we have started doing around this the dynamic case management platform, we start building a lot of other components, right? Again, specifically designed to build end-to-end process. So first, we start creating the concept called Customer 360 and Master Data Management, because any type of digital transformation is really related to a customer. You start maybe with a customer, and then it's a process. So we have a component called Customer 360. Also, we begin to see a lot of digital transformation projects still require some kind of document management technology, right? I mean, to collect, I'm processing a loan, even though I want to do everything electronic, but still there could be some cases where I need to collect some kind of data, email, faxes, or maybe some kind of document that need to be part of the file. So we created that component. Journey management, the ability to measure and to track all the journey of the customer. So we have a component that allows us to track that. We also have the component that allows us to create a scripting language. Like when we, in the customer service, we start with a script. We have a knowledge-based component, we have a calendar. And also kind of on the right, the omni-channel, this is actually, we've done the full integration to Genesis. This is actually what Janelle was presenting. So we have a whole integration to to the Genesis product. This includes the Pure Connect, Pure Engage, and Pure Cloud. We have the robotics process automation. Also, we kind of integrated with a partner, a company from Israel called Cryant. So not only that we can automate the human processes, right, but we also can automate the processes related to robots. I mean, full digital workforce. We have an AI component. We have analytics, and also we have a lot of pre-built applications that also come with the platform. Again, it seems like a lot, but in reality, we do kind of created this very powerful concept. And the beauty of this particular platform that it's designed to run in the cloud, it can run on premise, and also it can run as a hybrid environment. Okay. So also we begin to see the starting point when we do the digital transformation, and we're working a lot with Genesis right now. So customer service is really becoming to be the area we want to actually start the digital transformation projects. Okay. So what we have done in the last couple of years, we pre-built a lot of customer-facing applications. Like a good example in customer support, this could be complaints, account manager, service request. So anyway, we created what we call the customer service suite. This is already pre-built set of solutions that allow us to come into organization and basically have the starting point to engage with the customer. So a little bit about our platform. So the big kind of initiative of the platform was talking about the ability to build these applications very quickly. Is no-code, low-code development. So a lot of our processes, and again I will show you this very shortly, you can actually pre-build a lot of solutions with just simple drag and drop. I mean, I create like the master, the business process, the screens, the forms. Very quickly you can map the process. Also, we have the concept called low-code because in many cases we need to perform integration to legacy systems. So I can definitely map something very quickly with the platform. But also we give you the ability to do some kind of integration, create script. So it's the best of both worlds. It's what we call no-code, low-code development environment. So a couple of points as part of the platform. So ability to configure every element, we call it a case or process, right? This could be, you can configure your users, skills, tasks, SLAs, forms, pages, document types, and a lot of integration points. So again, it's a very visual environment that allows you pretty much map your what we call case types. Basically, the application that you build allows you to create the great user experience and customer experience that all the solutions need to be, many solutions need to be customer facing. So whatever we develop application, there is a desktop that we provide for the customer to maybe initiate the process. And also there's a great experience for the users itself. And also there's a mobility interface, right, that allows you, maybe I have people part of the process, we call them field workers, right, that need to perform a job. So from the mobility device, they can use this device to perform some kind of work. We introduced the concept called Customer 360, right, which is used actually quite a lot with a lot of customers. This is where we can basically map the customer data and we can present the whole Customer 360 concept. And this is will be the way how we can integrate the customer and the cases from the same screen. We have the concept called Case 360, which again we can configure very quickly. This is a good example of the loan origination case where I can see the entire sort of case file, the loan application, the documents, the form that was filled out. So all of that can easily be configured pretty much on the fly. We have integration to robotics, which again I'll show you. So if you take a typical organization, it consists of human workforce, what we call case worker or process work. And we also have, we call it the concept of digital workforce. So part of this, robotics automation, we can easily invoke robots as part of the process. So it could be like a rep, and I can very quickly launch a robot from my desktop, and like the robot maybe can perform a task, as an example, entering data to a legacy system, right? Like I'm working with a case, I need to perform some kind of data entry. So all of that you can very quickly configure with our platform. And we also have the analytics, which is an important component of our system, right? So we allow you to, have pre-built advanced dashboarding. We provide the reporting capabilities. and we provide the analytics. So again, all of that is built in into the system. This is actually shows you the integration to Genesis, the full omni-channel support, right? Where you have the Genesis that basically does the customer engagement part, which Janelle was presenting in the previous presentation, and the Centix basically what it does, the business optimization, and also we have the employee engagement component, which is also done by Genesis. So again, Centix stack work extremely well with Genesis today. So what does it take to deliver the digital transformation project? Okay, there's multiple steps. First, when you start delivering the digital transformation project, it starts with strategy consulting. Okay, they come into organization. Typically, it involves like at a CEO level, and they really need to define what are the digital processes that need to be performed within this organization. And this process can take, maybe sometimes up to like 6 months to define all the processes that need to be digitized. Then we bring somebody like Miratech, who is doing the implementation of those processes. And typically the process take, because of our technology, the implementation of the process can take from 3 to 6 months. So basically what we do one process at a time. And this is typically done by a company like Miratech, again, by using our technology. And also we begin to see this, the whole concept of continuous improvement that, when we start with one process, we finish the process, customer, want to improve it, right? So it's constantly, they want to actually keep on going and improving these, processes. And we see this all the time on all our installations. Sometimes this project actually can go for the duration of 2-3 years. This is very important. And this is actually a slide illustrates, the typical, delivery, what does it take to deliver a typical, one digital process. Okay, first it starts with project scoping, which is very important. This typically is done by business analysts. They come in, they identify, the process, and the goal is to really create requirements and break it down to sprints. Okay, then we start doing the development. It's a kind of agile, sprint approach where everything is typically done by 3, 4, 5 sprints, depending on delivery of the project. And then we go live. So this is typically what does it take to implement the process. And from the team standpoint, it takes project manager, it takes business analyst to get the requirements. We need the architect to basically design the solution. Then it takes about 3-4 developers, or let's call it developers, configurators, to actually assemble the process, and one quality control person. So a typical team is 7.5 people. Okay, so that's what typically it takes to deliver a process. So what I like to do, actually switch to my browser, make it a little bit like fun, and show you a little bit what, how typical digital process can be designed with our system, and actually what is a typical digital process. Okay, so first experience, right? This is, as I said, the first component of this digital transformation, where I need to create the customer experience. So first, the customer. This is a GBank demo. Actually, it's a Genesis demo. So let me. Like that, right? So first what we do, like on the website, we provide multiple plugins. We want the customers to go to the website, maybe initiate some kind of process, maybe get the status of different cases that he's working on, maybe go to the knowledge-based system and identify what needs to be done next. So what Centix provides is a plugins. So let me see, I need to sign in. Give me a second. Yes, I'm going to sign in to the website. Okay, and first, we have a plugin that allows the customer to see the list of all the cases. Maybe he applied for a loan, maybe he filed a complaint, maybe there's, there was some interaction that was done with the company. So that's number one. Number two, we have ability, my hope center doesn't work, we have ability to create a form that also can initiate the process, right? This, we have a very easy way to create those forms. This could be your complaints form, this could be your loan origination form, customer service. So this is, again, we have a plugins into the portal. Second, let me log into our desktop. So this is a cloud-based platform that allows us really kind of for the user. This is typically run internally within the organization. So when I log into this particular desktop, I see a lot of applications. That are typically the typical world of our customer, right? They see a lot of apps. So let me go to this DCM application right here. Okay, so let's take a typical organization. We kind of load this. Again, it's running from the cloud right now for our Azure cloud. So first, within typical organization, you can have a lot of different processes, right? With example, processing auto bank loan, processing complaints, processing maybe fraud investigation case, right? So this is right here, kind of on the left-hand side, you can see all different processes that I can initiate within our system. And I will show you how we define all those, right? Also, when I log in as a user, I see, number one, my stats, what I need to work on. I mean, this could be my task, or this could be like open cases, right? So this is right here is very quickly within our platform, you can configure something like this. So let me open up this whole concept, show you the concept case 360. Let me open up this case called loan origination or like loan processing, right? So this is something like this. I can, within a minute, configure in our solution. So this particular form is broken down to two parts. There's like the middle part that gives you the steps. So first, I want to see the form that came from the website, right? This is how I initiated the case. Second, I want to have an ability to see all the tasks that have been defined to perform, to process this loan, right? I mean, here, as an example, I need to submit an application. I need to get like a credit report. I need to do some kind of approval. I can see the resolution code for every task that needs to be performed. I can see the ownership of the, every task that needs to be done. Here's an example. I have ability to pull the credit report from TRW, where I need to make a decision, and I can see exactly what's going on, with this particular case. Here's an example. I have ability to bring all the documents related to this case file. So again, very quickly, I can assemble something like that. I have ability to look at the history and see this is what we call the journey of the case, where I can see exactly what happened with this particular case. I can see all the participants right here within this case. I have ability, let's say, to open by the way, my participant in this particular case file are the customer, who is Pep Thompson. There is, some people working with the case. I can here open up the customer data and see this whole concept called Customer 360 and see like all the cases associated with this particular customer. So again, very powerful way to represent your process in your cases. Let me open up another case called fraud investigation, and just want to show you how you can create different what we call case types. So when I open up the fraud investigation case, right, you will see totally different view. First, you will see totally different participants, people who are involved in this particular case. You see totally different process, right? I mean, this is, involves totally different steps that need to be done to perform this case. Here's an example. I have ability to bring what we call crimes nearby. So we're using our AI engine, and here I'm pulling all the information. Like this is a fraudulent case where similar activity happens. So I'm going to analyze this particular case file. I have ability to look at the related cases, right? So again, you can really build this very complex and different case types very quickly within our system. Let me actually show you that. So let me switch to the setup environment and show you how something like this you configure very quickly within our system. So again, first of all, there's a methodology. 5 more minutes? Yeah. There's a methodology how you configure those case types, right? So first, you configure your people, external people, external parties. Let me go to the case setup, and first, let me start, show you the case concept called case procedure. So here's an example when we process auto bank loan. This is a very graphical environment that really allows me to map the process, how the loan or complaint or whatever need to be processed, right? Very quickly, you can make changes here. As an example, if I want to change SLA, all I have to do just drop the SLA control, and it appears that I can configure it, right? Or as an example, I want to perform integration to Genesis. So here we already have Genesis plugin. And as an example, I want to have a task in our system, and I want to make it an interaction in the Genesis. I want it to be part of the interaction engine, right? So all I have to do just drop the Genesis control, and now this becomes very quickly integrated to Genesis. Again, we've done a lot of integration to different products and system that allow us to build very complex processes. You have ability to configure your forms and pages. So remember, like I showed you the fraud investigation form, and I showed you the loan origination form. So within a second, if I open up, let's say, the form builder, not actually the page builder, right? So again, this is experience for the portal user to make changes to your process, to your experience, for the workers, to your experience, that need to go to the web. Here's an example of my form processing. I have, remember, like we had a form in our portal. So here, an example, we give you the form builder that allows you to construct pretty much any type of form, any complexity, and plug in into the portal, into your solution that you need to build. So this is how it's done. If I want to change this form on the fly, I just basically perform drag and drop, and plug in control, and that's how the changes are made. Also, as I said, we have the full integration to Genesis. So here's an example. We have Genesis desktop, and what we have done, we created the interaction that really can be, can be executed from the Genesis desktop. So I think I'm a call center agent, and now I've been configured not only to process calls, but the tasks from our solution, right? So what will happen if I'm available? The system will customer 360 data right here. This is like this whole thing is a Genesis desktop, and also have ability to bring the Genesis, the setups. Anyway, this should be like our task from our system. It basically will allow this this call center agent to perform more. Yes.
1 minute.
Huh?
1 minute.
I think let's do like
That's
a
great.
Q&A. Yeah, I know like I went. Typically this takes an hour, so I was a little.
I'll start the first question then.
Uh-huh.
Is it before where you were? It looked like it was laying inside of Genesis. Like, was it?
Yes, it was.
So it sits inside the
Well,
Genesis platform.
it's a different system, right? But we have ability to so in our system we have concept cases, we call them case types. We have every case has tasks, right? So we basically can embed either the customer data from our system, we can embed the case data. Think about what happened in the call center. Somebody calls, I need to start with the customer. Then I need to pull the customer data, right? Or we also can have ability to embed a task as an interaction. So it's a very, very powerful kind of blending environment. That allows us to really, as an example, we just closed the deal, Ministry of Justice of New Zealand, right, where we're going to modernize the whole, Ministry of Justice of New Zealand, and the integration with Genesis will be like the task level, right, where they have a virtual pool of people, and they want all the tasks from our system to be, submitted to Genesis. A very, very powerful concept. Yeah, they have a product called IWD, and they have a very tight integration to that product.
Eric, you had a question back there?
Hey, Alec,
Yeah,
a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
Around value, so I'm curious as to if you have any metrics on kind of ROI or value that customers will attach to this. If there's particular use cases, I know you showed some
Sure.
of those. Are there particular use cases that have dramatically better ROI than others?
Absolutely, yeah.
How do you sell around that?
Yeah, so the whole point of kind of introducing the robotics, there's actually multiple values, right? First, let's actually take our solutions, right? When we start implementing the combination of human work and robotics, that by itself is introducing the whole value. I mean, I know we did the business case at MOJ right now, and on average, they're going to save probably 40% in, actually they can process 40% more cases with the same amount of people. So the volume of the cases and tasks is growing, but the ability to create like robots, this DCM and the integration to Genesis IWD basically give them the value 40%. Some customers get a value. I know we have a customer right now that's getting like 60% benefit out of our system. The value, right? Quicker, and also by the way, there's a big value of implementing the solution. What we recommend not to go like with a big bang approach, but to start kind of rolling the system very quickly. With example, Home Credit China, we had an ability to roll the entire complaints case management system to 500 users within 3 months. So the big issue over there was SLAs, where they were missing 25 or 30% of SLAs with the current solution. When they implemented a Centix system, basically it went to 0. So sometimes it's quicker, sometimes it could be SLAs, which like if it's a compliance, it could be huge penalty. So every use case is a little bit different, right? But the value is tremendous. When you start implementing this type of solution, and also kind of the whole digital experience is very important. The customer experience, where you want to provide as much as possible in front end, provide like knowledge base.
Is there any level of continuity between the processes that you're going to automate in your BPO? Do they all have to be homogeneous, or how much flexibility can be between the processes that you're going to automate?
When like interaction between the processes?
And so if you look at processes, if a business has 10 processes,
right,
does the first process have to be the exact same every time?
No.
No. Doing it, or how much flexibility can be in that process?
So the whole kind of concept of dynamic case management is actually flexibility with the processes, right? And I don't know how much you know about DCM, but it's really kind of ability to automate different work patterns, right? And ability kind of to even create the to create what we call related cases. So the type of process that we automate, the work patterns are, structured. This is what typical BPM used to do, right? And this is actually my first company, 15 years ago used to do. With DCM right now, we have ad hoc processes where I can start, let's say, I start with some kind of process, but I can change it on the fly, right? And like when you take something like fraud investigation, it could be, different type of process. So kind of the whole point of DCM is kind of the ability of creating, very flexible processes. Structure, I call it structured, unstructured, and unpredictable. That's kind of probably the good terminology. And all those processes can be linked to each other. So, for example, you start with a claim can initiate the fraud case can initiate the, as an example, the legal case. But all of that, you're able to see holistic view of the case. That's another very important property of dynamic case management, what we do.
Great, thanks.
Are there any industries where this is more applicable or reliable, or is it industry specific or industry agnostic?
It's industry agnostic. I mean, again, it's a very flexible technology. We work in today pretty much in any industry. We're working in the public sector, we're working in the fintech, we're working with central energy. So it really doesn't matter for us. I mean, the ability of the platform is, really have ability to very quickly adjust and configure any type of process. What we're trying to do right now is start packaging these applications. We call it packaging case type. So we're introducing the concept called marketplace. I mean, when we actually engage with the customer, we begin to build a lot of, case types. So if you go today to a website, there's already a concept called marketplace. So now, like, where we want to take it, we want customer to, go to our website, maybe, take the process called complaints, and maybe that will be the starting point. Maybe it's not, because we provide flexible tool, they have ability to, continue kind of improving and changing, but there is a starting point. That's kind of what I want to see. I mean, the whole point, we want to make those projects as quick as possible and have this concept called continuous improvement.
Is there an AI component from machine learning that's embedded
Yes,
here?
it is. And it's actually, we're starting to use it, quite heavily to make predictive decisions, and in the case management, it's important, right? Yep.
Hey, Todd?
Yeah.
Can you pull in, like alerts from like an AML system? Like how can
Of course, yeah. In fact, like right now,
Work a case?
good example. We're doing an implementation right now in Julius Burbank. That's exactly what we're doing. We integrated to Xeron. That's one of it's a FICO engine, and actually giving us alerts. And we're taking these alerts, this is exceptions. Then we create cases, and this is a worldwide project that then, this work needs to be distributed to different teams. So that's exactly, one of the channels, right, that can initiate cases with our system. So we're driven.
I said, stay focused on what's happening, not what you're reading. And I think you learned from her too, right?
I didn't even know I had that pocket there. I love it. Thank you.
Okay, you doing all right, buddy? Yeah. All right, good. You still don't know if it's true or not. You think half of it, right? You're not sure. All right. Thank you so
I didn't have a large one.
That's large.
Is it?
Yeah, the other ones are like this big.
Oh, the other one is the.
Oh, no, this is awesome. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. You have no idea. I'm gonna just get some ice and then I'm gonna get... Oh. Okay. That's everybody sit down. Oh, good.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for it.
Oh, yeah.
I've been waiting for this one all day.
I feel better already knowing that I'm actually going to be stimulated by this drink.
The smell of it's waking me up.
Oh my god. And I am not a fan of this, so I prefer vodka in it.
But it's very heavy cocktail.
You need a deep, loud voice to pull people to their seats.
Yeah. Thank you. No, I got it. Yeah, I'm okay. Okay, everybody. Break is over. 2 presentations and then drinks. Woo! Yay for drinks. Can everybody please sit down? This is just a Red Bull so I can make it to the press. It's really a Red Bull. Can we please sit down? We have a great speaker coming up. Okay. Everybody please find your seats back there. Thank you. Everybody, let's welcome Daniel Song. Daniel is the Chief Innovation Officer of Health3, which is in his distinguished 18-year career. He has a record of delivering enterprise-wide transformational strategies and solution frameworks. He's truly a unique blend of consulting, design, and engineering expertise focused on realizing customer delight, which we heard a little bit of today, and advocacy around product and service innovation and optimal collaboration. I think we can hear about that as well. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you. So I'm going to give you some good news and some bad news. The good news is that my presentation is a little shorter than the allotted time, so it'll be closer to truth. The bad news is that even though I've been doing service design for many, many years, the whole notion of combining service design with value innovation was relatively new. I've been working like a dog, and so the script was literally finished this morning. So I haven't committed it to memory. I'm speaking extemporaneously right now to prove to you that I can actually comport myself in public. But you will probably see me leveraging very heavily on a paper crutch before me, which I hope is okay because, I assumed that the topic of service design was somewhat novel to most of you. And so I wanted to carefully and very meticulously explain what it is in the context of all of the technology, AI, and digital transformation conversations we've been having. So without any further ado, let me just start. So Daniel Song, Chief Innovation Officer of Health3. Health3 is a healthcare industry advisory services group focused on commercialization, digital transformation, and service design for payers, providers, and life sciences organizations. I've been a management consultant for over 20 years. I've held leadership roles at Accenture. I've led IBM Interactive, global head of consulting for EPAM Systems, and about a year and a half ago, I co-founded Health3 with my business partner. So the theme for today is value innovation. I've been asked by Miratech, one of our Health3 partner organizations, to talk about how to leverage service design to drive value innovation. So I'll start by describing what service design is, aside from the obvious fact that it entails the design of a service, which is true by definition and hence not particularly interesting or illuminating. In order to help those unfamiliar with the discipline better understand service design, and especially its role as a potential catalyst for value innovation, we need to look at the impact of technology on organizational operating models and business processes over time. So I began my consulting career in 1997 with Accenture at an early stage of the technology revolution. It was a time when lots of companies were migrating from mainframes to client-server applications. The internet was in its infancy, and mobile phones just hitting the mass consumer market. Company business models and processes were comparatively simple and straightforward relative to today's environment. And typical business challenges at the time revolved around how to best integrate new technologies into the organizational landscape. The means with which we accomplished this was by re-engineering business processes and implementing change management practices to help organizations effectively adopt these new technologies and systems. As management consultants, we developed corporate strategies, operating models, and change management initiatives around these new technologies to help our clients grow, gain efficiencies, and differentiate themselves from their competitors. So as the technology revolution transformed into the digital revolution and everything began migrating to the web and mobile platforms, a new discipline called user experience design emerged. UX design focused on creating user-centered as opposed to product or organization-centric experiences. The new interactive digital media, coupled with good UX design, also delivered richer experiences and content than anything that had preceded it. Its primary aim was to engage, inform, and even delight users while also increasing productivity through greater collaboration. Whereas UX design was typically application-specific, user or customer experience strategy, interchangeable terms as far as I'm concerned, focused on developing holistic and integrated experiences across an enterprise's various touch points and channels so as to create a targeted and consistent brand experience for customers and users as they navigated through different dimensions of these increasingly complex and multifaceted companies. Service design was born out of customer experience. The key differences between the two disciplines is that unlike customer experience strategy, service design can and often does incorporate every constituent in an organization, like customers, employees, and business partners, across all touch points as opposed to just digital ones. And it also deals with the strategic, conceptual, and physical design of offline channels and in-store or branch experiences, for example. The outputs of service design efforts typically consist of personas, journey maps. I think someone before said they weren't quite sure what they were. We can get into that in more detail later. And service models, which depict the touch points and manners in which various actors engage and experience the myriad products and services provided by an organization. In contrast, UX design efforts typically produce design patterns and frameworks, while IT strategy, business process reengineering, and change management initiatives typically deliver operating models, org designs like org charts and roles and responsibilities, as well as training and communications initiatives. Service design is the most recent manifestation of the evolving ways in which organizations try to adapt to increasingly disruptive technologies as they become more pervasive, indispensable, and transformational. Thus, one of the primary goals of service design is to harness the power of digital technologies to innovate services throughout the enterprise for maximum effect and impact. How exactly does service design deliver value innovation? First and foremost, by delivering personalized experiences catered to the specific wants and needs of the various constituents within its purview. Think of your favorite news or shopping portals where your personal history and preference feed new content and product recommendations. It provides data-fueled insights captured and rendered by digital technologies as users engage with them and one another to help drive constituent engagement and behavior, increase efficacy, and help achieve targeted measures and goals. An example of this can be found in the features of the navigation app Waze, which I'm sure everyone uses. Service design also simplifies complexity by seamlessly and effortlessly guiding people down curated pathways designed to help them achieve their goals. Think of your in-store shopping experience or Whole Foods or whatever supermarket you shop at, for example. Every aspect of the store layout, product placement, and customer navigation flows are painstakingly thought out in detail and planned through various service design efforts. Service design increases collaboration amongst its constituents by calibrating and harmonizing diverse and often competing objectives with the most appropriate tools, means, and measures. If you've ever visited a design agency, a digital design agency, the physical office space layout and configuration coupled with the team's collaborating technologies is a good illustration of this. And finally, human-centered interaction models put in place by service design invariably increase constituent satisfaction, which then permeates throughout the organization, producing even more positive outcomes. Talk to an employee of Facebook or Google if you need a confirmation of this theory. Both companies rank among the top 10 places to work based on employee satisfaction, and both are driven by organizational cultures which tout great service design. Service design, in this respect, effectively serves as a catalyst for organizational cultural transformation. Service design methods represent advances over the more traditional approaches I've alluded to and deliver greater value to its constituents than its predecessors. Specifically, service design improves organizational operating models by helping to make constituent roles and responsibilities clearer, not by decree or ordinance, which is never an effective change method, but by thoughtfully guiding individuals to the ends they seek. Likewise, an organizational design process becomes more fluid. In lieu of abstract org charts and team structures, reporting lines, and associated roles and responsibilities, service design teams work collaboratively with less formal structure to achieve both individual and collective goals, which are, in aggregate, optimally aligned to broader organizational objectives, clearly understood by everyone within the service model. This big picture view provided by service design imbues constituents with a greater awareness and understanding of the mission, provides a sense of purpose, and it helps to guide and motivate them in their journeys toward their ultimate objectives. Last but not least, I'll conclude with the technology impacts of service design, the two most important of which are related to IT portfolio management and information management. With respect to IT portfolio rationalization, service design, when properly executed, allows organizations to better optimize their IT portfolios by focusing on the technology services that truly matter and have meaningful impact. Service design can help to reveal IT portfolio gaps and redundancies more clearly, allowing IT departments to best configure, deploy, and maximize the value and impact of their technology assets. Similarly, service design can improve information management through precision. Constituent service models detail the essential information various actors need at key moments in their journeys. Like IT portfolios, information flows can also be rationalized and optimized by better aligning systems inputs and outputs with constituent needs. Whether the organization manages application databases, warehouses, or a data lake, service-designed enterprises will find it much easier to manage their information assets, since they'll know how to best curate the data based on tangible and measurable needs, wants, and objectives. So that's the canned script. Now, just to prove that I'm an expert of the content itself and not just a script reader, I'd love to field some questions and demonstrate the fact that, this was just written at the last moment. I had to sort of do it this way. So please shoot. This is the only non-technology centric presentation. It's more focused on how to operationalize digital transformation, so hopefully there's some questions.
So in designing a service, in designing the service and the context of all the innovation we've talked about so far today,
Yep.
and with a very thoughtful sense of methodology is going through here, what are you seeing as the aperture opening kind of moment? When does someone say, the way we've been thinking about service delivery before is no longer applicable, we're not going to optimize that, we're going to just wipe the whiteboard off and do it over again and start from scratch? Just help me understand kind of where that complete makeover of the service comes in.
So typically what we find when we engage with clients, the various teams within clients, the moment of truth for them is when they realize that the traditional sort of top-down operating models, which sort of mandate tasks, routines, and all of the sort of performance metrics are actually failing in the marketplace. They see other competitors that have much more fluid and dynamic operating models propelling ahead, and primarily it's due to sort of the increased creativity. I mean, we've been focusing a lot on productivity and all the gains that AI and technology delivers. What service design is meant to do from an operational perspective is unleash the creative talents of individuals, which is sort of like the perfect pairing with all the digital sort of engines that we need, because you need the input and the guidance to actually steer the technologies. And what service design enables is, that sort of freedom. And so the minute you say to an organization, you guys are falling behind your competitors because of X, Y, and Z, how do you want to do it? I mean, you'd be amazed at the amount of pent-up frustration that is just, articulated. And lots of times, if you learn how to channel and funnel that energy and anger sometimes, it can become a source of positive transformation, no doubt.
talking about something as simple as people changing the physical space and the way people work together physically. In other words, what I've seen
Mhm.
in a lot of older organizations
Yep.
is they've thrown out cubes. I mean,
Yep.
they're completely changing the physical environment.
Absolutely. Yeah, so physical experiences are one essential aspect of service design. When Bank of America bought Merrill Lynch during the financial crisis, I was involved with the service design effort for Merrill Lynch, and one of the things that they wanted to do was to actually try to create a unified client experience across these two very different organizations. One's a retail bank, and one's a wealth management firm that also focuses on very high net worth individuals. You know, in the former, people are used to going to ATMs and tellers, et cetera. And in the latter, they're used to going to luxurious sort of, office spaces where they're meeting one-on-one with the advisors and their support teams, where they're getting handheld through various processes, harmonizing those experiences so that, those retail bank customers can eventually sort of migrate into the wealth management platform and vice versa. The whole notion of cross-sell and upsell and cross-pollinate your customers, that was, the physical experience was one core aspect of it. I mean, digital obviously is probably the most central, but I think where service design sort of, veers away from traditional UX design and, the operating model and IT strategy work that I alluded to, is in its focus in all the different channels and mediums and touch points, especially the physical.
Yes. Well, coming back. That'll be the last question.
So I like the idea of bringing together business process reengineering and UX and operating model work, but as I start to picture implementing that, I'm trying to picture and it sounds like there are elements of Agile in there as well, maybe. I'm trying to picture what the team is like, because you've added all of this scope. Is there sort of an optimal scope of a team in terms of, take one service or one business unit or something, or one region? How do you solve that problem if you don't end up with a team that's the entire company?
Yep. So the way that this has actually turned out to be most effective, so there's different ways. You can go top down or bottoms up. So sometimes you get hired by, a line of business or a specific, product owner within an organization to come service design their, specific area. What's most effective typically is when you do this at the most senior levels of the organization. So the Merrill Lynch example, we worked with, the C-suite. And we basically service designed the entire company at a very high level, and then gave each of the respective departments and areas sort of the high-level blueprint and then the mandate to sort of service design in micro detail their specific areas, but with alignment to the broader vision that we had sort of sketched out. The whole purpose of service design, unlike traditional methods, is not to create these meticulous blueprints that outline everything. It's supposed to provide sort of a thematic structure that provides, it targets what's commonly referred to as moments of truths, right? Those things that really matter, as opposed to the blueprints and the rule books and the manuals. If you target the moments of truths, which are those moments that actually have impact to people, that's all you really need to focus on. It's literally, it's low-hanging fruit, but it's also the most essential, and it's the most likely to actually impact behavior and manifest itself through outcomes that you're trying to achieve.
Thank you so much.
All right. Again, apologies for reading.
Okay. To kind of close out today, we've invited Phil Weinsheimer, who actually opened our conference last year back. Phil is an author, publicist, publicist and also writes for CIO.com. And he is the president of Strategery. As you know, that's why I couldn't figure out how to say it. Strategery Consulting, and works with his clients to develop business and IT strategies that focus on achieving specific business outcomes. He has a new book, The Strategic CIO, Changing the Dynamics of Business Enterprise. Focus on how strategic CIOs are leveraging information and technology for competitive advantage. And we really look forward and thank you for summing up today's event.
You're welcome. I picked strategery.com because everybody couldn't pronounce Weinzimmer. So now that I can't pronounce Strategery, Weinzimmer is really very easy. So
I got that one right.
yeah. So what's standing between food is me. So I'll see if I can do this quickly. Michael asked me to sort of sum up the conference. The challenge is I had to sit through the whole day and take copious notes. And I really, as Michael said, I learned a lot. And there were some really, really interesting points that were made by each presenter. So, clicker. Clicker? Oh, here it is. All right. Okay. So why innovation? Why is that important? So you can read this. Competitors are looming. You've got Uber. Amazon started with selling books, and now they sell everything under the sun. SpaceX is going to take over NASA. I mean, there's more. SpaceX is doing things that nobody ever imagined that a private company would do. So, and you heard from all the presenters today, these are all companies in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years that are taking over the marketplace. I think companies today are starting to recognize that the technology component of their business strategy needs to really be prevalent. And as I mentioned earlier in the content, one of the earlier sessions, I don't remember which one, services are becoming a more predominant revenue feature of companies, and that's going to help differentiate them. And leveraging technology innovatively. So Filippo Passerini was the former CIO of Procter & Gamble, and he wrote the foreword to my last book, one of the two. One of the things he tried to do in changing the culture of the company was really help them understand how technology was really going to drive customer value. And one of the things he told his whole organization, because technology organizations, people think, it's all about code. They don't understand what they're really providing the company in terms of value, is he tried to help his organization understand that the purpose of technology at Procter & Gamble is really to help the business units make better business decisions and provide value. So value innovation is great, but if you can't provide value, then it isn't good. It's just a wasted effort. Relevant slide after hearing everything today. So MIT and Capgemini did a study a couple of years ago trying to understand what were some of the factors that were really preventing digital transformation initiatives from being successful. One of the things they found, and they listed a whole bunch of them, leadership, governance, lack of ROI, there's a whole bunch of them. But what they found was that companies were focusing in 3 main areas. They were focusing on improving the customer experience, improving operational processes, and really changing business models. So if you think about all the speakers today, they fall into one of those 3. Right? Guys awake?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Read well.
And so what's interesting, and you probably have seen this slide before, that the Miratech value innovation model is really a bridge. It's really a bridge that takes ideas and can really accelerate growth. I'll talk more about that in a second. So, I was taking copious notes today. So let me tell you what I learned. So I learned about, from Richard on blockchain, quick summary, highlights, how to describe, store, and transfer value. I thought that was interesting. I learned about that. Samir did a really, really good job on artificial intelligence. I really found that very interesting and provocative. So he talked about the democratization of AI and how AI is 3-4 years ago, it was poo-poo stuff, right? And today, that's all you hear about. It's the buzzword, right? And I forgot which speaker was mentioning, look behind the words, because companies are really starting to use all these techie phrases, digital transformation, innovation. So the real question is, how do they prove it? What are they really doing? The panel, that was really good. What I took away from that session was that the notion of contact centers, I think, is going to go away, just as how we perceive it today. When we perceive contact centers, we perceive people sitting with headphones, talking to customers after they call, right? And that's, as I think it was Dave was saying, that's reactive. So it's not only the fact that I think that the notion of contact centers with technology, and Janelle also mentioned that in her presentation, is going to be more proactive. But I think it can be, number one, a revenue generator. Number two, you've got to change the DNA in the culture of the company in terms of how do we help our customers. How do we, I was mentioning to Eric earlier, I go to Florida in the winter. That's what happens when you get gray hair and you're older. You go to Florida. And I came back, I go January, February, March, came back the beginning of April, my heat pump died. Okay, the good news was the temperature in the house was like 50 degrees and none of the pipes burst. But wouldn't it have been nice for me to get an alert from the company, not only saying that I had an issue with my heat pump, but we're coming out to take a look at it, and I don't have to do anything, right? And so the whole idea of being proactive and helping customers understand what the potential issue is. So it's all about, predictability. So I think that's where the whole artificial intelligence is really working. So proactive customer service organization. Frank from Philips. The digitally connected blender. I thought that was cool. I thought that's really good. Fitness centers are really, they're at every street corner, right? There's a fitness center. People are becoming more health conscious. So I like the idea of having a blender. And as he said, you put in a banana, you don't have to measure how much it is. It'll tell you when to stop. I assume it tells you when to put the next ingredient in. But it's all, the world is changing. It's all about how digital technology can really create customer value. We heard from Alex on the experience in delivering digital innovation, talked about the customer experience, process mapping, and omni-channel support. That was very interesting. Gregory talked about digital transformation. I'll have to tell my wife that she can use Google Calendar to make her next hair salon appointment. She doesn't have to ask me, keep reminding me to make that appointment for her. I'll just say it. Husbands have a real challenge, right? Husbands have to manage the family and keep the relationship going, right? And if there's no, really. So You know, my biggest challenge is how can I help my wife enjoy the things she likes to do? And she's always nagging me to, you know, make an appointment for this or make an appointment for that. You know, I'm like her butler, right? That's okay. I get points for that. So I didn't know about that the Google Calendar feature. So that's really cool. Let's see. Daniel talked about service design. I liked Janelle's presentation on the contact centers. Her 4 main points about zero content, untailored experiences, imposing messaging, and I didn't get the last one. But you know, if you take a look at everything that was explained today, and I assume the presentations are going to be available for everybody, they really fall into one of these 3 areas. So it's not about, like when I was growing up, it was all about machinery, right, and manufacturing. Today it's all about how technology is making our lives easier. So this is an interesting slide because it's really showing how, you know, startups, the big challenge startups have is how do we accelerate our growth quickly? And they focus on their competencies, and their competencies are their ideas, right? And to translate those ideas into value is an area where Miratech has some really interesting competencies, and they can really accelerate growth. And when I saw this slide, I was thinking about, there's a Jack Welch, who I'm sure from GE all know. So there was a stockholder meeting, I don't remember what year it was. This is when I wrote, I think it was the first book I wrote. So one of the things he said is, how do you take the agility of a small company and transfer that into a global enterprise? Because those of us who have worked in both startups and large corporations understands what happens in a startup. I worked at a couple of startups. It doesn't matter what your title is, you do whatever you have to do to get things done. Then you go over into a large company and it's, oh, that's your job, right? Oh, I don't have to do that. That's not my, oh, let's have a meeting. We'll schedule it for a week from tomorrow, right? And so the issue is today, speed is really important. So I like that model. So let me just close with this. So I was trying to sort of say, how do I bridge what I heard today, or what I anticipated to hear, is, so if you take what the MIT and Capgemini studies said, where the focus is on customer experience, operational processes, and changing business models, and you add that with a value innovation model, you can really accelerate the growth. And that's what I think the concentric circles show. And you know, it's all about, it's time to market, right? That's really important. Concept to cash, so it's all about speed, improving your market share, getting the competitive edge, and accelerated sales dollars. So what I came away with after today is that there's some really exciting times here coming. And I think what Miratech has done is really help these companies really become global enterprises very, very quickly. So with that, oh, the last thing, oh, wait a second. My last sentence, because I like, from the opening, I like Valeri's vision, helping visionaries change the world. So that's the final message. How do you help visionaries change the world? And that's what Miratech does. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Phil. So that concludes our presentations for today. We'll have some drinks and food over at the restaurant. Where's it looking?
It's on 53rd, between 5th and 6th.
53rd between 5th and 6th. So it's a little further north of here, one block over. So we look forward to seeing everybody. And I think that, in conclusion of what really today's session is about, it's been wonderful, as Phil said, to hear the diversity of focus from large to small organizations, from, the startup community that we went over last night and really saw some amazing innovations, to some true enterprise solutions like Genesis and how it's being used in some of the largest organizations in the world, and how we've kind of bring all of that together. Miratech looks forward to helping, whether it's a startup, that has a vision, change the world, or whether it's the CEO of a large multinational, empower them to take their vision and change the world. So we hope each one of you has the opportunity in your own right to be part of that process, and that we can participate in a way that's really empowering for everybody. So thank you very, very much, and enjoy.